2 years ago, Volberg, Montana's Joey Williams was 9 months pregnant watching the inaugural national finals breakaway roping on television. Fast forward a year, and she would go on to finish 10th in the WPRA World Standings after collecting 3 go-round wins and more than $19,000 in Las Vegas. In less than a month, Williams will be headed back to Vegas in 8th place after an impressive finish to the 2022 regular season. Joey, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Now, I know Montana is home now, but your roots run deep in Harding County, South Dakota. Tell us a little bit about your childhood, how you got into rodeo, and how the folks and community that you grew up in helped to mold you not only into the cowgirl, but the competitor that you are today.
Oh man, I don't think there's another place in the world like Harding County. It will always be home for me, and I'm very proud to say that I grew up there. As far as getting started in rodeo, I guess it just went hand in hand with ranching and growing up on a ranch. We were on horseback from as young as I can remember, and everyone in my family rodeoed, my grandma, my grandpa, my dad. So yeah, it was just kind of part of our family and what we did growing up.
Breakaway roping may be new to the professional stage, but you're no stranger to competing at the national level. After winning the breakaway roping at the college finals in 2012, did you continue to compete, or did you hang up your rope can for a few years until you started seeing the waves that breakaway roping was making? You decide, I want to be a part of this.
So I never quit roping, but definitely after college, I backed off. There wasn't as many opportunities as there is now. I would go to a few amateur rodeos a year and a few jackpots, but I primarily just team roped for a while. My husband's a team roper, and so we went to a lot of team roping jackpots for quite a few years. And then I think it was 2019 when a few of our circuit rodeos over here added breakaway roping. And yeah, it just kind of the rest is history, I guess. Looking back, it's crazy how fast it all evolved and came about. But yeah, my life looked a lot different 3 years ago or even 2 years ago.
Did you first see this when you decided, I am going to enter some of these circuit rodeos and I am going to go a little bit harder? Did any part of you envision, where breakaway roping is today?
No, honestly, when the first few rodeos in the Montana circuit added breakaway, I was nervous to enter. I didn't know if I would, it was just definitely something that was out of my comfort zone because I hadn't done it in a while. And yeah, I think Baker and Wolf Point were some of the first ones up here to add it. And I'm so thankful that some of the committees up here just took a chance on us. And I mean, I can't believe how fast it's grown. I think there was I want to say there was maybe like 30 Montana circuit rodeos with breakaway this year. So that's pretty impressive. And I think we're just going to keep going in that direction. I think it's going to keep growing.
You mentioned when these were starting to show up within the circuit, you were nervous to enter, not sure if you were prepared, especially coming from, the level that you were used to competing at. What advice would you give to somebody that may have high school, college, amateur rodeoed, gone to the jackpots, but, after that college stage, that's the cream of the crop for breakaway roping as of, about 5 years ago. What advice would you give to somebody who is in a similar situation that's, I want to get back out there. I want to start entering, but I'm scared, but I don't know that I still have it. How did you get over that hump? And what would you tell somebody in those shoes?
I mean, you just got to get your feet wet. I mean, you can sit at home and worry about it and wonder if you could compete, but you're never going to know until you just give it a chance and believe in yourself and get out there and just see what happens. I mean, you're probably never going to regret trying. That's for sure.
Is it like riding a bike, just come right back to you? Or what was that like for you?
Some of it came back easy. Some of it you have to work for a little bit. But, I think it helped that I had never really quit roping or riding. And I had been training barrel horses and riding young horses. But as far as like actually being a competitive breakaway roper, that was a little bit of a trying to get back in the swing of things because it's such a fast event and it's so much muscle memory that, I mean, it definitely took some practice and roping the dummy and competing. I mean, a lot of it is just getting out there and competing to get back into the swing of things. So, but yeah, I mean, I was very lucky. I even had Baybe I've roped on Baybe for quite a few years now. So when they started adding pro rodeos up here, I was riding her. So I definitely think that was a big advantage for me. So
I know you wear a lot of hats, a mother of three, a wife, rancher, and obviously a world-class breakaway roper. How do you juggle it all? What does a typical day, if there is one, in the life of Joey Williams look like?
I mean, that's the $1,000,000 question. Literally every day is different. Today's Halloween, so we've got preschool pickup here in a little bit and trick-or-treating after school. Try to exercise my horse here in a little bit before school's out and rope the dummy. And as you all know, on a ranch, every day, whether you're working cows or just normal chores or fencing, there's always stuff to be done. So we just kind of fit it in the nooks and crannies whenever we can. And I just hope that I'm prepared enough that when I do go somewhere, I can be competitive, because there's definitely a lot of days when I leave here that I don't feel very prepared. But I think that's kind of where the mental aspect comes in. Sometimes you just have to believe in yourself, and you just have to go for it, I guess.
Touch on that a little bit more on the mental aspect of breakaway roping, especially, you are a mom. I'm sure practicing and preparing and, even the rodeos you enter don't look the same as they might somebody without kids. What does that mental game mean to you? How do you prepare yourself, and how does that all look different being a mom?
I do think it's a lot different. For one, when you do have kids, I feel like I have life other than breakaway roping. So when breakaway roping doesn't go great, it's okay. I mean, don't get me wrong, I get upset, but it's okay when you come back to the trailer and your kids are excited to see you. It's hard to stay down for long. And so I think that's a big advantage, actually. They're so much fun to practice with and take along to the rodeos, because they're always cheering you on and make you feel good whether you did good or bad. And so I think that does help. But yeah, as a mother, when you go into the practice pen, I feel like that's when I have to take it seriously, because you only have so much time to yourself. And whether that's I have Shay strapped in the stroller or the car seat, and the boys are on their horses or running chutes, I mean, you do have to it's kind of like a switch you have to flip on. I mean, it's go time. And then as soon as I'm done running a calf, it's kind of back into mom mode, whether that means I need to go turn the iPad on for Shay or get her a toy or get her bottle and then get back on and run another calf. So, I mean, you kind of have to train yourself to you be able to flip that switch off and on between being a mom and being ready to run a calf.
You wrapped up the regular season, setting the arena record and going on to win Ellensburg. Tell us more about your experience rodeoing this year, how your plans or goals may have changed. I know we tend to see the highlight reels, but is there anything that you learned after the success you had in 2021 that you did differently this year, or that you want to make sure that you change next year?
I think the biggest difference was when I started out in 2021, I was just planning to circuit rodeo and maybe enter some of the bigger, closer ones. Like I knew I wanted to go to Cheyenne because it was kind of a bucket list thing. And as the year went on, I did have some success at the circuit rodeos, and I just went with it. And we ended up all over the country by the end of September. And I was lucky enough to get in at the very end. I mean, I didn't have a spot secured until the very last day of season last year. So that was pretty stressful. And so this year I knew I had qualified for the winter rodeos. And so I wanted to go down south because I had never, I had been to Fort Worth one time, but I had never been to Houston or San Antonio. And coming out of the winter, I really didn't have the best winter. So I was really kind of almost fighting my head, wondering if I should just back off and circuit rodeo because I already felt behind. And everyone in my family has been super supportive. So every time I get a little doubt that I shouldn't be going, I mean, everybody kind of pushes me to go. And so that's kind of how it went. It is difficult because you wonder if you're making the right decision with your family and the ranch and everything. And I'm just very thankful for everyone to be supportive because they definitely kept me out there. And the end of the year, it was kind of the same this year. I was sitting decent all summer, but not great, but good enough to keep going. And everything kind of came together in August and September again for me. So I'm hoping going into 2023 that I can have a better winter and get a better start to the year.
You mentioned going down south in the winters. How has where you live affected how you prepare for the rodeos? Or do you feel like the girls down south have any advantage as far as the opportunities jackpot wise? What's your outlook on that, or how you think that plays into things?
I mean, I think that there is definitely opportunities up here, but you just have to work harder for them. I mean, in the wintertime, nothing is easy. Whether you're driving to a barn or driving to a winter jackpot in Montana or South Dakota, you're probably going to be dealing with some winter weather, and it just makes everything more difficult, and you really have to want it. So if you want to be a professional roper from up here, it's something that you're definitely going to have to put your mind to and work for, because down there, I mean, they are lucky to have so many jackpots and stuff, but I mean, same for them. It's still definitely something you have to want to do. Getting ready for Vegas, it would be nice to live down there and have a jackpot to go to a couple times a week, and the weather conditions nice. Like last weekend we got snow, so now our arena's been wet all week, but it's something that we've always dealt with, so we just go on and deal with it.
Now, we can't talk about the year you've had without talking about your horse. The 11-year-old bay mare, fondly known as Baybe Bullet, was recently named the 2022 Nutrena Horse of the Year. Tell us about Baybe. What's her story? How she bred? Ultimately, what makes her so great? Why are you guys such a great team?
Oh man, I could talk about her pretty easily, but yeah, she really is. She's just a dream come true. She loves her job and she gives 110% every time. She definitely makes my job easy. She is rock solid in the corner and she starts flat, so it's easy to get my swing up. She kind of has unique bloodlines for a breakaway horse. A lot of roping horses are more cow bred and cutter bred bloodlines, and she was by Frenchman's Bullet, who goes back to Frenchman's Guy. And on the bottom, she goes back to Chicks Beduino and Casti Casanova. So she does have quite a bit of run for a breakaway horse. But, I do think that's an advantage going to these rodeos because you never know what kind of a setup you're going to be in. And having some quick speed to get to the calf, whether it's a long score or a short score, is definitely an advantage.
Is she your main mount, obviously, that you're taking to Vegas, or what else are you getting ready to take out there?
So yeah, I have a couple other horses that I've been practicing on. My backup horse that I had last year is bred, so she's turned out in the broodmare pasture. So Baby is kind of my only horse going into Vegas. I mean, I hope that she's the only one I ride, but I'm going to take at least one, possibly two others out there just in case something were to happen. But I'm hoping that I get to stay on her throughout the finals.
The National Finals Breakaway Roping has a new home this year at the South Point. Now that you've been out there, how are you preparing and are you approaching things any different than you may have last year?
I'm going to take a similar approach as I did last year. I am just going to try to get in as much practice and try to get to a few jackpots leading up to Vegas so that I can, kind of feel prepared. And I don't know, it is hard to feel fully prepared living up here because there's no rodeos going on right now. There is a few jackpots, but not a lot. And so I guess just trying to stay mentally strong and just make myself believe that I'm ready for it. So that's kind of what I'm focusing on. And you can always rope the dummy. And like I said, even if our arena gets too wet, we get snow and it's too cold to rope outside, we'll haul into the barn if we need to. But yeah, we just do what we can and try to be as ready as we can.
Generations of cowgirls have literally dreamed of breakaway being in the NFR. So this is pretty dang cool. What advice do you have for the little girl that doesn't know any different? In their eyes, this is how it's always been. So, what do you tell those girls that are excited and looking up to these great ropers like yourself and Jackie, Kelsey, Larry D, and are just dreaming big?
That is one of the most important things is to dream big. And this is what I love about our industry is most people are very willing to help. So if you're a young girl and you might not have the resources that you need to get started, just don't be afraid to ask because lots of people are willing to help. And we love to see young kids succeed, and that's part of it. And it's just definitely a growing cycle of it. And I think breakaway is going to keep growing. And I'm so excited to see where our sport goes as these young girls do start from an early age dreaming of going to the NFR one day. I mean, I think our sport is just going to get better and better. So that's pretty exciting to think about that there's young kids at home watching us on TV and have some goals now because like for us, like you said, after college, that was kind of it when we were young. So it's going to be pretty exciting to see where our sport goes.